Today, we are going to talk about how to buy a vacation home or a second home and how it is beneficial to you. Hello, this is David Zai with the Zai Mortgage Team. So we'll give you a step-by-step guide on how to do that. Investments, second homes are really good type of properties to own, not only for personal reasons, but for financial reasons. So just to give you a little bit of background, my family and I, we really love vacationing in Florida. We love the beaches of Florida. We love the beaches of the Bahamas and Aruba, and just love that sand that's sugary. We love the shells. We love everything about the beaches, and we love vacationing there. So, in the last couple of years, we've vacationed there with timeshares and different resorts that we've been through. And it got to the point where we were like, hey, you know what? We should really consider buying a home in a place that we really enjoy. Like, we want the Gulf waters, we want beautiful sand. So a couple years ago, my family, we purchased a home down in Florida, and it's actually been one of the best things for us since we purchased it for personal and financial reasons. So in this video, I'll kind of break it down, the step-by-steps that you will need to purchase that vacation home or second home, and how to take advantage of it to not only use it as a place for the holidays, but build wealth and generate passive income. And that's really the most important thing here. Step one will be, we have to decide how you're gonna use the vacation home. If you're gonna live there for part of the year, if you're even gonna rent it out, if you're gonna use it as a second home to be able to go in and out of it whenever, and the pros and cons. Let's start out with, we're gonna live there. Okay, living there is great. You get to be in a place that you absolutely wanna be all the time, year round. Like for us, Florida, it's great. It would be great. You got someone at home all the time, you got someone checking the water, you got someone checking the HVAC systems. You just really it's ideal. However, if you wanna generate a little bit of passive income while you're doing it, having a renter in there is also a really good thing, because now you've got a property management company that goes in with their operations managers and quality control to kind of make sure that your property is being cared for while you're not using it. So, I understand the wear and tear. However, I think the pros and the cons, when you weigh them both out, the pros of having someone in there and having someone manage the property and generating that passive income and building wealth while you're doing it is really a good thing, because in reality, the values are going to continue to go up, and you're going to be able to take some of that equity that you're going to generate in the future to do future renovations when you decide, hey, I no longer want to generate any more passive income off of this property. And then you can pretty much take that equity, redo the house the way that you want it permanently, and enjoy it as your primary residence. So if you don't own a home and you are planning on using it as your primary residence, then you can get a lower interest rate with a primary residence loan. If you're going to use it for investment income, then at that point you would have to get an investment property loan. Those rates are typically a little higher. I would put that as the second tier, because with the second home loan level pricing adjustments, most of the minimum down payment requirements of 10 to 15% are typically going to yield a higher interest rate on a second home. So an investment property or a vacation home can not only be used as an investment property, but you can rent it out when it's not being occupied by yourself or anyone that you know. So now that we've kind of determined which type of loan we're going to be using it for and the purpose of the loan, now let's jump into how much you can afford. So understanding the costs that are associated with it. So number one, obviously the mortgage payment. The mortgage payment has a really big factor. So for instance, our home in Florida is about $5,000 a month on the monthly mortgage payment. However, the revenue that's being generated over the vacation rental season, we're averaging probably about $10,000 a month with regards to that. And then there's obviously some maintenance and wear and tear that you really need to associate for. So the costs that are associated are typically the management fee. Highly recommend a local management company, because they can really go down there and check on the property when you're not down there. There's also maintenance and repairs. That's a big thing, right? The filters are costly, that you need for the entire house. If you have a water maker in the refrigerator, those filters are a little bit of a cost. Essentials such as lighting, electrical issues when the AC goes out because of tenants may be going into the property and leaving the doors open during hot seasons or cold seasons, really put a lot of strain on your systems. Always checking on plumbing. We've had little issues such as like maybe plumbing on the beach, right? Everything's sand. You got a driveway. However, we had a vehicle kind of roll off of the driveway, and unbeknownst to us, there was actually a water line that was going through there. So all of a sudden, the water pressure decreased significantly. So having that maintenance and repair cost kind of like budgeted is really important. Then we have to manage the vacancies. How are we going to manage the vacancies if you're not renting it or you're occupying it, right? So, that's something that has to be, counted on as well. So, maybe during the off season, we're going to spend a little more time personally down in the house in Florida, because the weather in Florida compared to where I am is significantly better, even in the wintertime. You have to then worry about the furnishings of the property, furniture and any housewares that you may have. That is a very, very high expense in itself. But there are definitely cost-cutting measures that you can take, such as going to specific consignment stores to purchase some of these things, buying things on Facebook Marketplace or any of the peer-to-peer selling apps. We also found really good value going to thrift stores and consignment stores that have some really good values on furniture as well. If you are considering a short-term rental, some of the things to really, really dive deep into is having the overnight rental pricing, dynamic pricing, is really important. So knowing what your competitors are pricing their properties at and making sure that your rentals are in a competitive space. Doing that and maybe using resources such as like Airbnb or Verbo or Flipkey Homes to Go are really good, especially during in-season rentals, because those typically are gonna get you out there a little more versus using like a local real estate broker. And that really helps you offset cost as well, because the management fee from something like an online platform versus a local broker is different. However, those local brokers do have access to maybe a list of people that really enjoy vacationing in that area. So this is definitely, like I said, a really good way to build that passive income in the right way. Now that you've kind of identified how you're going to use it, how you're going to manage it, how you're going to furnish it, and how you're going to market it, let's go into the loan detail part of it, okay? We're going to seek out a lender that knows how to do this, a lender that knows how to work with second homes as well as investment properties. Maybe someone like me who owns some, so I can give you the pros and cons, and you can count on me as your trusted resource, right? Number one, we want to look for the best lender, okay? The lender that knows this. Then, once we identify the best lender, we want to then identify the program that's best for you, okay? So whether it be a conventional loan, whether it be something that needs income to qualify, or maybe even something that just, has debt service coverage ratio and you can put into an LLC, that way you can kind of protect yourself a little more. When you do that, that significantly helps you out from a liability standpoint. So that's something that you should certainly discuss with the lender. Make sure they have all these programs that are available. If the rents are lower and you don't qualify for debt service coverage ratio, or it's not enough to kind of offset it, there are also no ratio loans that are out there that you can use for lending. And as I always say, what's really important is always, always, always look to make sure that you're getting a wholesale or a retail deal, okay? Wholesale, once again, just like everything else in life, you're not getting less of a loan, you're just paying less for the loan. Versus retail, you're paying for all the beautiful amenities that are in this local office. You're paying for all the advertising and everything. And that's something that, me as a consumer, I prefer not to pay for, because that's not going to benefit me in the long run. Once you close, the loan is the loan. There's really no differences. Next, we're going to decide when we finance this, how are we going to come up with a down payment, right? Are we going to come up with a down payment through maybe savings? Maybe a cash out refinance on your primary residence would be the cheapest way to do it. And then the next cheapest way would be a home equity line of credit. With all the values kind of increasing in the last couple years, having that home equity line available to be used whenever you find that property that, maybe meets your needs is really important. I just finished doing my taxes, and sometimes when I go through the day-to-day monotony of dealing with rentals, yes, it's extremely stressful. However, when you look at the end result, when I did my taxes, I'm looking at everything. I'm like, wow, this really generated significant revenue. I look at the cost basis that was put into a lot of these properties, and it's like, wow, this is significantly higher than the original cost basis from 2009. So that's definitely something that, when you're taking money out of your primary residence, yes, it can definitely seem like a daunting process. Oh my gosh, I may have got this paid off. I may have like worked really hard to get this interest rate that is a rock star interest rate. Just make sure you totally understand the terms. However, when you're taking money from your personal residence, that's an investment, right? And you're reinvesting it into a second home or an investment property. I would think that personally, coming from a person that has done this in my own life, I can tell you right now, it's nothing else that I would rather do. Before I jumped on this video today, I literally just made a comment like, oh my gosh, look at the stock market, it's significantly down today. That's something you have zero control over. What you do have control over is where you end up buying a property, whether it's something that you can personally enjoy as well, and to be able to generate that extra passive income is a huge win. When it comes down to buying this investment property or second home, it does require a significant investment from you from a personal and a financial standpoint. So it's really essential to understand the costs that are associated with the vacation rental property or second home, and to seek out the right type of lender to help you with making the best decision. So when you own a vacation property, it could provide many long-term financial benefits, as well as benefits to you and your family. So if you have any questions or concerns, or you'd like to get some help with getting a second home or an investment property, feel free to reach out to me and my team. We can be reached at 757-478-8493. And this is David Zai with the Zai Mortgage Team. And I'm just saying, give me a call.